Hey everyone, and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. We are all in our homes, in our bunkers, whatever you want to call it. I have Ian Simmons from KickingTheSeat.com, Don Shannahan from Every Movie Has a Lesson, and Pat McDonald from Hollywood, Chicago. And thank you guys so much for coming on. And I didn't know how to do a podcast during these times. Like, I didn't know what to talk about because I'm like, I don't want to talk about, movies about pandemics and the end of the world and stuff like that. There's so much despair right now and pain. It's like I wanted to find something positive, but not a false positive like our president
Like your pregnancy test.
fine.
Ooh.
And then I think
Is
I
Mike gonna have a
eventually
coronial right now?
No.
came
Okay.
up with the idea of, well, what movies do I watch that put me at ease when I'm going through something or a lot of bad things happen? And I was just wondering from you guys, what movies you watch when maybe you want to get your mind off of things and bring you some joy in your life, because that's really what I want to do, is just bring people joy when they need it, because I'm your savior. I look like Jesus. But no.
And you're beneath the crucifix here. You're like, you're
Yeah,
in a nice spot.
exactly.
I think the first
Instead of my apartment I'm in, so yeah. Yeah.
the first thing that I wanted to say is I think, and I'm speaking to the crowd here, as movie buffs, we have the advantage of getting joy from movies. A lot of people, like my dad always says, "Why do you think so much about these films? It's just entertainment. You go and it's just entertainment." Some people think of them that way. They don't get call that sort of joy from it. So I think it's an advantage to really love movies because it can be a guidance and an escape.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think in that entertainment, even if it is just entertainment, entertainment does give you that escape and it does give you that guidance. And when you can find something that can make you laugh, or give you some hope, uh, I think that's something that can really be beneficial. That's the power of cinema, whether it's a dumb comedy or an existential drama. Uh, so I guess I'll start with with who should I pick? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm picking at the street. Yeah, I think Pat seems ready. What
Oh,
movie?
well, I mean, for me, the comfort food of cinema is always thinking about those times when I was a kid that I would watch movies on television. And when I was a kid, it was the big CBS like Friday night movie, Thursday night movie, and they always had a collection of films there that, um, even to this point in my life, I always can go back to and say, oh, that makes me feel better. Things like The Great Race, The Music Man, Good Neighbor Sam, Gay Paris, The Great Escape, The Incredible Mr. Olympic, things like that. Always, bring a sense of comfort. Maybe it's a little nostalgia, but it's also the familiarity of it. Like you wrap that around you to, get your mind off things. And, so I have several categories here, but I just wanted to mention that category first and ask everybody else, is there any films that give you a sense of nostalgia that you kind of go back to every so often?
Good
Well,
question.
go ahead, John.
I mean, I guess now that I have children of my own who are 7 and 5, and we have a Disney Plus subscription. I think we find ourselves watching the Disney classics a lot, because that's comfort food. Those are 60 to 80-minute easy movies that are gorgeous, that are cute, they're funny, they good music, they're beautiful to look at. Where that's probably the easiest comfort food on the general list is going to a Disney classic, the golden era.
That's cool.
Yeah. Ian, do you have any movies that come to mind when?
Nostalgia. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I don't have a lot of time to just watch movies that aren't for a particular podcast or something.
Yeah.
So for this episode, I came up with a list of movies that I would like to watch during this this whole pandemic because I'll have free time.
Yeah.
And I chose movies that I plan to watch that are hopeful. So in the nostalgia category, it doesn't go back that far, but Galaxy Quest is one. And Better Off Dead, I think, is the other, the oldest one. And that's actually the VHS tape I mentioned that I have behind me from an old video store. Those are just...
Video store, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, those are just wacky, kind of fun-spirited comedies. Better Off Dead is... it's almost like the airplane of romantic comedies, a bunch of sight gags and all of that stuff. And then Galaxy Quest is, it's a Star Trek takeoff, but, Star Trek was a hopeful vision of the future, which I think aligns with what we're talking about here. But it's also a loving comedy made by people who grew up watching Star Trek and loved it and saw a new way to kind of take it into a new era generation of fans.
Oh yeah, I've never seen Galaxy Quest, and I've heard things about it because I'm like, oh, it's a Tim Allen movie. I know exactly what it's gonna be, and apparently it's not at all like what you'd think it's gonna be.
I wanted to mention one thing about Galaxy Quest. George Takei said that when he saw that movie, he said if the crew of Star Trek, the actors in Star Trek had gone there, he would think that William Shatner would have been like Tim Allen in that movie. Isn't that funny?
Oh my God. Yeah, I know a lot of people who were on the cast of Star Trek weren't big fans of Shatner. Yeah.
No. And that's why he said it was accurately portrayed.
Oh, so I have an idea of what Tim Allen's character is like.
Well, I got to say, I don't know how many Tim Allen movies you've seen. I've only seen, a handful. But you've heard that it is... Well, yeah, you've heard that it's not like other Tim Allen movies. It's not, but it also is. Mm-hmm. If you think about... I don't know if you ever saw The Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
But that's kind of like a weird situational comedy, but it's got a tremendous heart to it and kind of a tear-jerking finale in some cases. Not necessarily with Tim Allen's character, but there's a really touching scene with Alan Rickman in the climax that is both, it's very sad, but it leads to a great kind of a kick-ass moment. So, yes, definitely seek out Galaxy Quest. I think it's just the remedy to cheer you up during this time.
Yeah. It's funny when we were talking about nostalgia and we were talking about, I think someone referenced Airplane, like two of the movies that I had on my list, actually. One movie, I think the first movie I went to when this pandemic started, or like a little before it started, was Naked Gun, because I remember watching it with my dad as a kid. It's something I could watch with my parents, and it is the funnest goofball comedy ever. I mean, the timing in it is brilliant. Like, if you look at the timing of Naked Gun 1's show compared to the sequels, they progressively become a little too fast in their pace. The third one's going so fast that, like, you almost, like, can't even catch every joke, which I guess is kind of the idea. I didn't even know, like, it was actually based on a television show until a couple years ago, and I went, "Oh my God, there's a whole show of this." Which I don't know.
You should pick up there's a collection of the TV shows you should pick up. I think they're funnier than the movies, but
oh wow, yeah. But
the movies did a good job of getting what they did in that series. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and the greatest thing is, it's just fun to watch O.J. Simpson continually get beat up. Especially after we found out all about him. And then when I go back to nostalgia today, I especially with the news today, I just couldn't watch anything. And then I just browsed through Amazon, and Last Action Hero by Quantum popped up, and that movie's all about nostalgia, and I think nostalgia is effective because it brings us to simpler times. But the great thing about it is like, think about like when think about our kids and what they'll be nostalgic for when we're adults, and then retroactively we'll become nostalgic for that too. Yeah.
Anybody musical fans? I'm a musical fan, so I get a lot of comfort from those. Like hippie musicals like Hair and Godspell and Jesus Christ Superstar as a guilty Catholic. And the Bob Fosse musicals. I love Sweet Charity and Cabaret and all that jazz. And it was funny because, as a naive boy growing up, I used to collect soundtracks or, Broadway show tune soundtracks. And then later when I moved to the city, I understood the stereotype about that for some reason. I was like, I just liked them. So that's definitely one of the things I go to is musicals.
Yeah, well, there is certainly a wonderful presence between the stage and then the screen with musicals, especially with the screen where the camera pinpoints exactly where the audience should be looking. And like I remember since I was a kid, till today, my sister would always give me crap about buying movie soundtracks instead of like stuff from popular artists, and she says, "Why don't you listen to regular music?" It's like, because this is what I like.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of musicals, I just was reminded of La La Land from a few years ago. And the thing that strikes me most about thinking about that movie now is how many people were dancing around outside. I mean, that
social distancing.
Did you see them dancing in the sky?
Well, watching TV commercials today is strange, not only because there's an eerie amount of companies that seemed so prepared for this. There's all these we understand that you're practicing social distancing, and there's like a Toyota or something like no payments until this crisis is over, that kind of thing. Like, Jesus. But then there's also the canned commercials that were made, within the last couple of months, where you've got people palling around and they're like, let's get together and go to this party. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's weird to see people in huge social gatherings, like in any form of media now. It's like, oh, I remember when I used to go to bars.
Car ads are so bizarre anyway. I mean, it seems like it's the only thing on the air now. There's no variety of commercials except for car ads. Constantly. It's so strange to me. It's like, I want to live in that universe because they're all so happy. And there's never any traffic.
Yeah,
I know one of the suggestions I was bringing to the list tonight, I kind of made like a list of 6 things. All of them are like found on streaming. One of them enables us to kind of make fun of somebody who we probably made fun of 20 years ago because he was so weird about being clean, and As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson. It's available on CBS and Amazon Prime right now, and back then we're like, oh, come on, wasting a bar of soap on one hand wash and all the different OCD things that he does. I think we could laugh at that movie with great jest today if we were to watch it as a comfort food kind of film in this kind of time where all of his little quirks and things we are probably actively practicing right now as if we're like, strong solidarity, and we're like, what a weirdo back then in '97. So
how crazy will it be if Howie Mandel gets the coronavirus?
Right.
Well, someone would have to cough on him or something because he never shakes hands. Like,
no, it's literally like a glass house next to his house that he stays in.
What was the catchphrase in As Good as It Gets? What does he eventually say?
On the bright side of your life.
Sort of like you had me a hello, but it's something else. I can't remember.
Try something crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here. He's got lines in there.
He says something to the main gal in that. I can't. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Oh, you made me want to be a better man.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
I think at the end of this, we'll want to be better people. Hopefully, No, I remember actually seeing As Good as It Gets as a kid in the theater, and I wasn't target audience. I liked Terminator and stuff like that.
We dragged you to that one.
Walking out of that movie, and I loved it. Like, it's one of the few romantic comedies that like still holds up today as it did back then. Because
Easily.
screenplay is just brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the characters are so distinct. Greg here as the highly intellectual, very sensitive gay neighbor that wasn't played like this ridiculous, 90s. I'm gay. Let's go to the shopping thing.
He was Jerry Lewis.
Sort of cliche. And you had Helen Hunt, who is a struggling waitress who lives with her mom. And you have Jack Nicholson, who is like the crazy OCD guy. But at the same time, kind of how blunt and rude he was. Like, he was kind of like pre-Larry David, where he just kind of like said what he thought. And the audience is like, yeah, he's kind of right about that, but he's still a jerk. And it's just amazing how those characters mold together.
Yeah.
And, oh, God, there's just so many moments in that film that work so well.
I think another movie in that ballpark, also streaming, it's a Netflix one right now, where craziness is softened and romanticized to a way where we can enjoy it and smile and laugh, is Silver Linings Playbook from 2012. Where you have crazy characters who are eclectic and odd and strange, and we don't have professional sports right now to do all the Philadelphia Eagles betting that's in that movie, but but if you're looking for a Netflix and chill movie where you want to take some of the crazy that we feel like in our world and all the depressive picadillos that we have, but celebrate them and watch them kind of bloom a little bit, that's a fun place to go for this time, what we're talking about tonight.
That was actually a very hopeful film for me, because I have had some mental issues, and just seeing like that come together, who are both mentally unstable, like that was actually I think that's David O. Russell's best film.
Easily.
It's one of the better depictions of mental illness that I've seen put on film.
But yeah, to be able to watch a film like that with all those issues and still smile, that we can use that right now.
It inspires hope, and it doesn't, and it's not tacky in a way.
Yeah.
Where
oh, go ahead, Pat.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm going to switch it around a bit. One of the categories I have is political films. For some reason, that gives me, I like scenarios that are played out, whether they're true or not, to, give me a sense of, the type of world we live in. Like, I just recently watched again 7 Days in May. That's one of my favorite films, I swear to God. Just because of the possibility of a military coup in the United States, given what we're going through right now, it just really resonated for me. I wouldn't call it comfort so much, but the mechanics of how our government and society works. It's always been fascinating to me, and for some reason I always like Advise and Consent, All the President's Men, The Manchurian Candidate, JFK, all those films for some reason give me a sense of, connection, if anything else.
I see that 7 Days in May is available like on the Criterion channel right now, and I gotta think there's a wealth of stuff you can get out of something like that. So
yeah, I'd like to see that background stuff.
This is oh, that's right. This is great because I just wrote down those last three movies we talked about because I saw As Good as It Gets. I was, I think, 20 when that movie came out, and I didn't connect with it at all. But I have this. It's a weird nostalgia for a movie I didn't like. I'm in a frame of mind now where I feel like that's a movie I could like if I went back and gave it another view.
I think you would.
Yeah, and I've never seen Silver Linings Playbook. That one escaped me when it came out. And I've never seen 7 Days in May, but I've heard about it. So you guys are adding to my bunker list. This is wonderful.
There we go. I'll circle back to a little one before we lose musicals too far. Over on Hulu and sometimes on Canopy, I loved 2 years ago, I loved Hearts Beat Loud with Nick Offerman and Kiersey Clemons, this father-daughter story.
That's a great one.
Really, not just like, I know it's not a pure musical, but just the beat and the jump of that movie Toni Collette in there a little bit, but just this father and daughter that are bonding over music in the summer before she goes to college. It's the best I've ever seen Nick Offerman, not of course being Nick Offerman. And it's I think it's Brett Haley, the director who just got done doing like The Hero and some little films like that. He's just a nice up and coming filmmaker. Easy little Hulu watch. Great soundtrack, just a bouncy, fun, good movie, and enough father-daughter heart that'll get you right in the feels at the same time that you're tapping your toe and getting into the beat. So Hearts Beat Loud on Hulu is another one I dropped there.
I asked Offerman about that film when I got a couple questions on the red carpet for him, and he said that he had to learn guitar so he could be a passable hack guitarist.
Right.
In that film, which I really like that.
He really has to jam in that movie too. He can't hide it. It's a front and center for him.
It was just, he said it was just constantly practicing guitar, which is great. What a skill.
It's funny how Pat mentions political films, because sometimes when you are down, you don't want to watch something that's going to force you to feel happy. Sometimes I want to watch something that's depressing.
Wallow in it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, just to make me feel what I feel so that I can move on to something like that.
I think Pat picked the right genre or subgenre with political films, because you might look at society and go, gosh, man, it could ever be as bad as this. But those movies are normally very smart enough to just keep you interested and keep you engaged, and with the woulda, couldas and the thinking part of it, where those are thinking man's wallowing movies, if you want to go there,
Yeah, I mean, you could look at Ken Burns' Civil War and go, oh, wow, we have had it worse than this.
Yeah. That's true. I just recently went through that whole thing again.
That's excellent, yeah.
It was on Netflix, and I just,
Oh, yeah. And then
started watching the first episode and went through the whole thing again.
Yep. Shelby Foote and that fiddle shows up and you're gone.
That's right.
Then you can watch Ken Burns' Baseball. You can...
They're free online, yeah.
Yeah, and Major League is another film I love watching. Although now I'm kind of sad watching it because there's no baseball season.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, the Cubs won't win the World Series, so that makes me happy.
Well, maybe that's what you can do, is just find out what the Cubs' schedule would be, and then instead of those games, just watch a baseball movie on every night that they would have been playing.
Today was supposed to be opening day in Milwaukee, as a matter of fact. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Alibi. If you want to see an old-timey baseball movie, that's great. Alibi Ike. With Joe E. Lewis from Some Like It Hot. He played the old millionaire in that, the Nobody's Perfect guy.
Yeah,
he plays Chicago Cub pitcher in this. And in one scene, they're playing in Chicago at night, and you see palm trees in the background. So.
Yeah.
What's the name of that film?
Alibi Ike.
Alibi Ike.
From the very early Olivia de Havilland film. I think it was her maybe second film, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, and she's still with us, kicking in 103.
That's funny. God. 103.
Olivia de Havilland from Gone with the Wind and Robin Hood. She's still alive. She's 103, living in Paris.
It's amazing how
outlasted Mickey Rooney.
Yeah, Kirk, Doug, and all these people.
Who was I can't remember her name, but she was in West Side Story, and she played the nun in Oz, and she's still an incredible...
Rita Moreno.
Yes.
Yeah.
She looks incredible today. I get, how the hell do you look at it? It's not like work being done on you.
I don't know.
It's just natural beauty.
Yeah. Sophia Loren's still kicking in, still looks good too.
Yeah.
I do her.
Well,
I have no discerning taste though anymore. So once you get past a certain age.
Something else I like to watch that makes me feel good is I like to watch really bad movies, like just movies.
Yeah.
I got one for that list for you.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, it's not like a bad movie, but it's not. I don't know if it's I think it's become dated in the 15 years since, but like the 40-Year-Old Virgin, which is hilarious, but
Yeah.
not that
I wouldn't call that a bad movie. I
I
love
wouldn't
that
call
movie.
that a bad movie, but it's not, hey
I think
kids, let's sit
Comedy
around and watch the
Central
40-Year-Old
killed that
Version,
movie.
So, but
I
no,
like the.
that's
Go ahead.
no, but it's available on streaming on Flickfling or something like that. And it's obviously it's fun for Steve Carell and all that, but it's not like a highbrow situation there where you're just watching for good entertainment. So.
Yeah.
I like the beach movies of the '60s were really bad movies. They're just terrible, but they're so weird. They're fascinatingly weird because they're so bad, And all those like was it American International films that they did during the '60s. All those teen movies, they're great to revisit and just lose your mind for an hour and a half.
All those like old Elvis movies.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just all interchangeable.
Well,
But
Pat, I think we talked about
King Creole.
Creole, and I just, much like Joe, I just found out that they're releasing King Creole on Blu-ray soon.
wow.
Well, also, another fact is on Netflix, they just released the movie Curtiz, which is about Michael Curtiz, who directed Casablanca. He directed King Creole, too.
Yeah.
He had
Wilson Pierce.
160 films in it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an astounding filmography that started in 1912 and ended in 1961. He went through the entire modern era of film, basically, the first era of film.
Yeah, he went through all the stages.
The studio system, the independent, it's crazy.
Silent stuff, yeah.
Silent, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking of actual bad films like outside of the room, like Samurai Cop. I actually just saw. I didn't see all of Dolomite's My Name, but I saw the original Dolomite. And God, the fight choreography.
I have not watched that. Is it good? The original Dolomite. What is it called?
It's just called Dolomite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love Dolomite's My Name.
It is like I didn't know if I'd get into a whole blaxploitation film, but I absolutely loved how bored Randy Ray Moore is. Is that his name?
Rudy Ray Moore.
Rudy Ray Moore, yeah. Just how bland his dialogue is, but immediately when he yells "motherfucker," he springs to life.
Don't we all?
No reason. And just the fight choreography is wonderfully terrible, where you're just watching people waiting to get hit. I mean, those are movies that are just fun to watch. Like if you're in a situation with your roommates, for instance, and you just want to watch something to laugh at, that's a great one to go to. I mean, when I go down in the South, I noticed that Pat was wearing an old Superman shirt earlier. That's another one. The original Richard Donner Superman films are
those are great.
Way into comic book storytelling as movies. Oh my God, Ed Wood's amazing.
Get him in the balls here.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Movies.
Ed Wood, yeah.
There you go.
Talk about a movie about making movies from a guy who he was the original bad filmmaker, and I think he ended up making like porno films. Like I think I saw a part of one of them because reasons. No, I just kidding. But essentially, like that was probably Tim Burton's best movie, and also that one is kind of comfort food, like regarding someone who just nobody believed in him, and now he's a legend, and he did all right, after the end. But
yeah, Ed Wood is a fantastic movie because like Plan 9 from Outer Space is, it's kind of a trash film, but watching Ed Wood, you gain a new appreciation for it because you understand all the passion that went into making this movie. Like he swung for the fences. He wasn't trying to make a bad film. No. He thought he was making, his version of a sci-fi masterpiece. It's very endearing, and Johnny Depp and Martin Landau, just fantastic team up, and that's another kind of a heartstrings movie with Tim Burton behind it all things.
I often see like the Ed Wood in modern independent films, because so many people want to make movies that they tend to use some of the Ed Wood techniques, whereas you're making a movie in 4 days, so you're not retaking anything. You're just moving on. And then you put it together and you max out your credit cards and you get depressed because everybody thinks it's bad. But,
Told you want to do another take, he shook half the set. You would have struggle going through that door every day. It was perfect. Oh my God.
I got to watch Ed Wood again. Yeah.
It's so good because the best bad movies are the ones made by filmmakers who don't think they're making bad movies. Right. It's when they think when they're going, oh, this is intentionally a bad movie, then it's just boring. But
oh yeah, I still have not to this day watched all of Birdemic. I heard from everybody like, oh, this is the successor to The Room, is the worst movie ever made, and it was just boring to me. I turned it off after I think 15 minutes. Whereas The Room, I think, is a genuine bad movie masterpiece because Tommy Wiseau is a maniac and he thought he was like making art, and until he decided to claim otherwise.
No, it was the weirdest thing. Is and I read the book. I haven't seen The Room yet, but I read his book. And when Franco got the Golden Globe, he wouldn't let him talk. He wouldn't let Winslow talk. And the book starts out, he's in traffic, in Golden Globes traffic. That's when he decides to make a movie. So it would have been a complete coming to the full circle, but Franco wouldn't let him talk. In fact, he imitated him talking rather than let him talk. So
there's so much that the Disaster Artist, the movie, missed that was in the book. And I mean, in terms of like Tommy Wiseau, you could tell he wouldn't let certain things from the book be in the movie that, really would have capitalized.
You never know. That was Franco's game.
Yeah.
I'll drop one more suggestion out there where a lot of us, because we're stuck inside and we're scrapping for groceries and things like that. During this time, I love a good food movie. So on the streaming service Canopy, and a little shout out to Canopy, which you can get with your library card. Fantastic service of movies. They have A24, great documentaries. I know Brian Tallarico was researching where you can stream Roger Ebert's great films, and 112 of them are on the Criterion Channel. Second place is Canopy. Canopy is 107 of Roger Ebert's great movies, and one of them that's on there that I would love watching just for comfort food is Big Night with Stanley Tucci and why did his name fall right out of my head? He's from Monk.
Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub. Yeah. See, Shalhoub and Tucci playing these restaurateur brothers who are hoping to get Louis Prima to come over to the restaurant for dinner, and which would boost business during a tough time. And it's just such a good food movie, the way they create these dishes and have this big party, and the music and the fashion, and it's Tucci directing, which is fun, and a little buried treasure from '96, which is pretty good.
And also Tony Shalhoub, also in Galaxy Quest.
That's right.
Come full circle.
And Men in Black.
He really knows how to create a character. I mean, even Mrs. Maisel. I'm kind of getting sick of his character, Mrs. Maisel, but I can't deny that he created yet another memorable character.
Oh yeah.
So.
He really knows how to play off of his own eccentricities, but he doesn't just kind of play a singular note character or something where it's like, I'm going to be the silly, goofy guy like Johnny Depp does with so many roles. And then when Johnny Depp tries to be serious, he's just boring. And then, he's not like, and then when he actually, when Shalhoub does do a serious role, he's interesting. I remember, I can't remember the name of the film, but I saw it once, and it was a Coen Brothers film, and it was with Billy Bob Thornton, and he played this barber.
The man who wasn't there.
Yes, the man.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
The black and white one, yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah.
Another one where he's great. Yeah.
It's fantastic in that movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
That's a great guy. I haven't seen that since it came out.
Now you mentioned food movies, I just think of that end shot in Ratatouille.
There you go.
Pours the little sauce. I just want to go to an Italian restaurant or get some Italian food.
I know. We can't go out right now, so I gotta watch it at home.
But
Well, Olive Garden is doing 2-for-1 entrees. You can get that pickup, and maybe if you can peer in the window and watch them drizzle or something.
Yeah. Olive Garden. When you come with your family, you get coronavirus. All right.
Well, when you come with your family, you get some kind of an STD and possibly hauled into court. Sorry.
What?
That stuff doesn't happen in Chili's, though, guys. Come on.
Oh, God. Chili's with their disgusting refried food. Oh, God. I remember the Chili's in my neighborhood got shut down because some guy didn't wash his hands. So that was like way back.
That's a whole other.
Yeah. We could all watch The Aviator. He was right.
Yeah, there's 1,000 Facebook memes going around, but one of them is that after this is all over, people are just going to greet each other with the Vulcan hand salute.
Yeah, I can't. Fuck. Right now I got it. Right now.
Wait, wrong hand. There you go.
Oh,
yeah. Leonard Nimoy did a very funny commercial for Advil or something where he touted the pain relieving aspects because he had to go out and do that. So.
My Leonard Nimoy circle this week was he directed 3 Men and a Baby, which I watched on Disney Plus this week. Yeah.
I forgot that. Wow.
Leonard Nimoy.
3 sitcom stars and a baby.
Yeah. Easy.
I was
Plot
going
sells itself.
old dad TV shows, like when I like the shows my dad watches. Like I think he had like Hill Street Blues on.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. I love Hill Street Blues.
It's funny how over the top that show is. Like I ran into one scene and these people were in a courtroom and someone pulls out a gun and shoots somebody, and then the lawyer pulls out a gun. And then the judge pulls out a gun. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's going to be like pure Asian there.
I just watched
all 7 seasons of Hill Street Blues are on Hulu, so that's a fun circle to go down right there. Yes, sir.
Wow, because that was one of my dad's favorite shows, but I was way too young to get it.
Yeah. Oh, my parents were the nighttime soaps, so like Dynasty, Falcon, Crest, Dallas. That's what I got when I was a kid, which I shouldn't have got. Not Landing.
And the thing again, when we were watching is there was only 3 channels, so I knew a lot of households where dad just watched westerns and cop shows, but thank God my dad loved comedy, so we watched all the sitcoms.
Yeah, I mean, like growing up with my sitcoms, like I'm a Frasier guy. I really like that show. It has a lot of heart. It still holds up.
You remind me of Frasier.
I do. Yeah, okay.
Hey, there you go.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. Is there anything anybody would like to plug before we take off?
Nah, I'm okay today. Hit it.
Everyone, just support each other. This will get better eventually. But for right now, I mean, I don't know any other moment in history where people will tell you what I want you to do is stay home and watch Netflix and play
chill.
Yeah, Netflix chill. They were sold out of condoms in my Walgreens by me. I don't know why. And so Magnum condoms, like, okay, sure, guys, you really are using those. Guys. Especially not me. And I don't know. On that note, thank you everybody for coming on. Go watch something that'll make you relax, avoid outbreak, avoid pandemic, and go watch something that brings joy to your heart, whether it be a musical or a old superhero movie or a bad film. All right. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. And live long and prosper.
You don't get it.
That's right. And
good night, fellas.
Good night, fellas.
Night.